Welcome back to the Movie Draft House. I'm your host, Mark, joined by co-host Jeff.
Hey, man, what's going on?
Delayed reaction, but we're doing well.
Well, we got dragons this week? Maybe.
Did we?
I think we did it.
Oh,
Third time's a charm. Leave it up to me to find the dragons.
Before we get into what we watched this week, we got to plug some music. And the music this month is brought to you by the New York-based pop artist, Madeline, with her song, I'm Only Here for the Beat. Be sure to hit the show notes, get all the links to her social media accounts. Give her a like, follow, and a subscribe. She's doing big things, and we appreciate her letting us use her music here on our podcast. Jeff, what did we watch this week?
Well, Mark, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but we're supposed to be watching movies with dragons in them. And so far, we have had our fill of dragons.
So many dragons.
We watched Bruce Lee's dragon movie where he's a dragon.
Yep.
At least that's what the title says. Then we watched Red Dragon, in which Anthony Hopkins helps Edward Norton hunt down a red dragon.
Yep.
He was red and scaly. And this week we watched Dragonheart from 1996. It runs for an hour 43. Stars Dennis Quaid, Sean Connery, and Jason Isaacs. Those are the big names. As well as Dina Meyer.
David Thewlis.
Who?
David Thewlis.
I don't know who the hell that is.
He's the villain.
Oh, yeah. From, Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So I did notice him, like, when he came up, I was like...
It's a young David Thewlis.
Well, what got me is a couple things. I thought that they really casted the young David Thewlis character really well, knowing that it was going to be David Thewlis later. But I also really got this Monty Python vibe from him that with his outfit, and he kind of looks like one of those guys, like specific. There's one of the guys he looks like that I just really was like, oh, this is great. So I did notice him, but he's not a household name in that I know his name, but I mostly just think of him as Professor Lupin from Harry Potter fame, as well as Jason Isaacs is in this, who played...
He's also in Harry Potter.
Malfoy dad Malfoy.
But in this movie, he's
goofy too.
Yeah, he's not a household name here.
Yeah. I love Jason Isaacs. Anytime he appears and stuff, he's quite good. He had a short-lived TV show called Awake that was really good, but it only lasted one season, and then I guess no one watched it.
Yeah, too bad streaming wasn't around then.
Yeah, I think it was, but okay.
You said this movie stars Sean Connery. How it stars Sean Connery's voice.
Yeah, he's only here in voice.
R.I.P. Sean Connery.
Yeah, he voices the titular dragon, who goes by the name Draco, which
also means dragon.
Yeah, which is also from Harry Potter, which is like 1 degree of separation as far as like coming up with a name for a dragon. Let's just call him Draco, Dragon the Dragon. Call him Dan, Henry, Bob,
right. Will,
Red, it's something. Flame nose.
Why
did you? He shoots fire out of his nose.
He does. It's fine. Why did you pick this movie?
Because it actually had a dragon in it.
You knew that for a fact, or
yeah, I'd seen trailers.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Like this movie is as familiar as a movie can be to me, without actually having ever seen it, which I hadn't. But I'd seen plenty of trailers. It has a really good reputation, which I find interesting, because one of the things that we do, peek behind the curtain, or at least I do, is we're looking at themes. Sometimes I Google best movies with dragons, and this comes up a lot, and it is well respected in a way that surprises me now that I've seen it.
I'm in the same boat. I've seen this movie probably a couple times prior to this viewing. However, I saw it when I was younger. It came out in 96, so I was a teenager at the time. I remember seeing this movie. I remember like going to the theater and seeing this movie, I didn't remember a lot of the beats to it. I don't remember how bad the CGI is.
Well,
But
and CGI is one of those things that ages, right?
Yes,
like
yeah.
when you saw it probably as a teenager, you're like, "Oh my god, look
Sure.
at this!"
And
like,
you can tell this movie had a big budget.
Yeah.
And it's a Universal film, so and it's got a pretty big. I mean, Sean Connery probably cost a lot of money.
I would imagine that's where most of the money went. That
Right.
and there's a lot of sets, a lot of costumes.
Yeah.
And of course, the CGI back then probably cost a lot more than it does now. Maybe not,
Yeah.
inflation or whatever. But yeah, they definitely needed to spend some money. I don't have the budget in front of me, but here we go. 57 million estimated in 1996 money. So
that's over 100 million. I assume in today's budget.
I can do some inflation here. Let's
Yep.
see, 57 million.
Yep. I hear the keyboard clacking.
1996 in today's money.
Yep. Yeah, I hear it. We're gonna get blown away with this facts.
Maybe if I can figure out how to use the computer. 96.
Yep.
And we said how much? 57 million? 57, and then that's 123. Calculate. So in today's money, that's 113 million.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so that's a decent budget today.
I love our podcast. I love working through my computer and recording it as I do.
Listen. If you don't listen to podcasts that do real time math, get you a new podcast. Right, get you a new podcast.
Yeah,
come
like
to the
one.
Draft House.
We do math on the pod.
No, but like in today's world of big budget films are the only ones that have shelf life at theaters. I feel like if this movie was to be made today, it would be a kind of a spectacle film.
I mean, it'd have to be, but I don't know that people would go see it. People didn't go to see this. Like, it had a budget of 57 million. In the U.S., it grossed 51.
Right.
And worldwide, it made 115 million. And based on my limited knowledge, that's essentially like a break even. Like if you double your budget, you're just kind of breaking even. And so
which is weird to me that I learned that there was like 4 sequels to this film. Right. I didn't watch any of them, but
no, why would you? Why would you watch a sequel to this movie, especially like if Sean Connery's not in it? Like, and then the other thing is at the end of this movie, as far as we know, now I've not seen any of the sequels, but the dragons are dead.
Yeah, he's the last one.
Draco's the last of the dragons. Why would you go watch Dragonheart 2?
Yeah,
with no dragons. I guess like Highlander, you know. Yeah. Highlander has more. Highlander 2 has Highlanders in it, but those aren't good movies. So,
this film reminded me a lot of how the 90s, especially the early 90s, there was a big push to make these medieval type movies. First Night, Robin Hood.
I think of Braveheart. That was around this time. Maybe after, I'm not sure. But
so this film fit that that era genre of film of the time, but it wasn't anywhere near as good as I was expecting it to be. I was kind of like disappointed that this film,
in this viewing specifically,
yes, because I expected it to be better than what it was.
So my thoughts are actually a little more mixed. I can't say I was disappointed, but I did not get what I was expecting. What
were you expecting?
I guess more along the lines of something epic and, kind of in that Braveheart style. Obviously, that's my fault for going in with that expectation. But what I got was this weird, silly movie. The dragon is silly, right? There's a lot of animation in him. And I don't think it's mo-capped by Sean Connery, but there's like sort of a goofiness to him, like when he's stuck. Dennis Quaid is stuck in his mouth, and you can talk all with that mouth open, and it's just silly. Like it's not taking itself that seriously. And then there's another part where our lead, Bowen, played by Dennis Quaid, is talking about how he's been looking forever for this dragon, and he can't find the one that gave this heart to the evil king. And then the dragon goes, "Oh yeah, maybe he is dead," and it's done really hammy. And now you might hear that and think it's a negative, but I actually kind of found the tone of the movie to be sort of endearing in a weird way. I'm not saying it's a positive, because I don't think the movie committed one way or the other to being serious or kind of silly. It just has this weird middle ground, but I kind of liked it. I kind of liked it not being serious. And I gotta say my favorite part has got to be David Thewlis. He steals the show when he's on camera.
Oh yeah,
he's the best part of this movie.
Yeah, he's campy and over the top, and he's having a good time. You can tell he
knew what he was in, and he just played it appropriately. I think so much fun watching him. And then like Jason Isaacs was his right-hand man, and he's goofy and kind of silly sounding, like his voice is pitched up a little bit. And that was the thing. It kind of made like I never felt like this guy's a serious threat because he's a goofball.
Right. And I think Pete Postlethwaite is in that same
yes, absolutely.
That realm of just having fun.
Yeah,
but then you have Dennis Quaid, who's this old, like highly serious character. And
let's talk about Dennis Quaid because
let's talk about his accent, because
exactly where I was going. Because I feel like, and I should have gone back and watched just to be sure, but I feel like in the very first scene of this movie, he had an accent.
He did, and then nowhere else in the movie.
What happened?
He got paid and didn't commit to the role.
What happened? Like he did his accent. The director was like, you know what? No. Should we go back and reshoot? No.
We're already over budget. We got to go.
I've heard bad accents in movie, but I've never seen an accent just stop.
Yeah.
Because I got, about halfway through, I'm like, I wasn't sure if I misheard. Maybe I thought he should have had an accent because everyone else around him was British and he has an American accent in the movie. But I'm glad you confirmed that it goes away, because that's what I experienced.
Yeah, it's it's so terrible because it's so, like, in the first 15 minutes, it's so over the top, and then it just disappears. You're like, wait a minute, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to say Dennis Quaid was a bad casting choice, but he was a bad casting choice.
Well, but the reason I don't, again, the accent disappearing is weird and stupid, but kind of funny. But I feel like he still kind of fits the tone of this movie, where there's this scene where the dragon, he's got the harpoon in the leg or whatever, and he's being dragged through the forest on the dragon and hitting trees, and Sean Connery's got one-liners. It's so weird. Like, I don't know. I resisted watching this movie for so long because I thought it was going to be this hyper serious tone, and I just didn't think Sean Connery doing the voice of a dragon was going to work. And honestly, I still don't think that it did. He's a long ways away from being Benedict Cumberbatch's Smaug, but there's something about it kind of works for me. It's kind of fun, and I think Dennis Quaid adds to that.
He's brooding in a lot of this film.
Yeah,
and I didn't feel like his brooding matched the film, the rest of the film, where David Thewlis and Pete Postlethwaite and all these other characters are just kind of having fun. Like, there's something about the tone of this film, where it's not like a tonal shift. It's just like there's a mixed tone throughout, and
Yeah.
that
Like
just
different actors are in different movies.
Yes,
almost.
yes. I almost like I compare this, or not compare it, but wish this was more like A Knight's Tale, where
Yeah.
that film was very over the top and silly, but still entertaining. I feel like that could have been this movie, or this could have been that movie, because of just the characters and Sean Connery, the voice actor, having kind of, I mean, you can tell he's kind of like having some fun with the dialogue, but
So stupid. Like I go through two different emotions with this movie. I kind of had fun watching it, and then I realized what I'm talking about, and that this is a Sean Connery dragon movie,
right.
where they like high five dragons and shit, and I'm like, no, this isn't good.
No, this movie actually sucks.
Again, I wouldn't go that far. For me, I still enjoyed it. There was a level of enjoyment there. I was not bored. David Thewlis is killer.
What did you
It's
think of the
just-
CG though? All right,
I mean, it wasn't good, right? But
but
it
there
was-
was different levels of CG in this film too.
okay,
Like
So-
the far off shots of the dragon, really good. Right? Like when the dragon's attacking the castle, really good. When he's like soaring above the countryside, good. Another campy scene in this film where the fucking dragon picks him up on the horse, and it's just an kind of out of place where they're like yelling on the back of this horse, and like the horse's legs are just kicking about. It's just weird.
yeah. I think of when you talk about the CG, it is not good, but it is a far cry better than the CG just the year before in Mortal Kombat. You know,
Sure.
one of your and I's favorite movies.
Right.
I know you love it. You bring it up all the time, but the CG in that is horrible. And
Yeah.
so like this dragon has texture, and I think at the time it was ball blazingly amazing.
Sure, and I understand that. I do. I get that. Is that it's easy to criticize something that's 30 years old, but I just it's distracting now to watch.
Yeah.
Just simply because we're so spoiled to the technology that films use today, rather than in 1996, where you watch a film made in the 80s, you're not watching CG, or you shouldn't be, or if you are, it's really out of place. But for the most part, it's prosthetics, right? Which aren't really used a ton anymore. And so it's easier, it's more palatable to watch a film from the 80s, early 80s, mid 80s, because the prosthetics hold up. As opposed to something like this or Mortal Kombat, where the CG is just so terrible, or I'm not say terrible. The CG is so dated that it's distracting. It's distracting from the rest of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I felt like I didn't have a problem suspending disbelief, but there were a handful of moments where I'm like, "Ugh, that looked bad." And there were some blue screen moments where he's sharing the screen with Dennis Quaid, and it doesn't quite gel, doesn't quite look like it should. But
I will give the film this, that the dragon's mouth movements and just when he's talking are pretty on spot. They're like the mouth moves with the words, and so at bare minimum, I was thankful for that. Right?
I liked the scene when he was in the dragon's mouth, not the scene itself, but that he was inside a model, there was an actual, not prosthetic, but practical set that he was
Right.
on while he was in the mouth, and looked really great. And And I would have liked to seen a little more of that. There's a couple moments of actual, practical stuff, but few and far between, because it's at this point, it's in the post Toy Story world where everything needs to be CG. But like I said, it didn't take me out of the movie too much. Now, in general, I didn't like the dragon. His motivations were weird. And he's like in the opening scene, the beginning of this movie feels like a different movie. And maybe that's why he had a British accent.
Yeah.
Because there's war going on and there's an evil king and they take, the son of the king who's been mortally wounded to the dragon, who then, makes him promise. And there's no goofiness or silliness. He heals the kid. And then, then we have a hard cut to the future 5 years later or however much longer. And then the movie's tone is completely different. It's goofy, silly. There are serious themes like slavery and overworking the masses and, all of that stuff. And yet it's delivered in a weird package to me.
It is jarring, the shift of the film from the first 15 to the rest of the film, and it's not a long movie, right? It's an hour, 30, hour 45, and so it's just, and maybe that's what really got me about the film, is that it just didn't know what kind of film it wanted to be, and so it didn't really pick a tone and just kind of went with everything.
Yeah.
And it really it gave me a lot of the Kevin Costner Robin Hood vibes.
Yeah.
Where Morgan Freeman plays, was it Friar John or Friar Tuck, or I don't know.
No.
Who does he play?
I don't know his name, but Friar Tuck he did not play. There was a Friar Tuck in that movie, but
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, that's the one that
Morgan friar of some kind.
And Morgan Freeman's in it, and
but I think he plays I don't want to say, but he like a Muslim character. I'm not sure that's the religion he practices in the movie.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I apologize if I've offended anyone, but he definitely
par for the course. Serves
a different God than the Christian God, because I remember there being certain scenes.
You trying to be so politically correct.
Well,
who cares? Who cares? Morgan Freeman's in that movie. Right. People will get offended. We apologize.
Let's cancel Mark. Here we go.
Morgan Freeman's in the movie. And I felt that
Why
movie.
Why are we talking about not
Mennonites? It's Prince of Thieves.
Prince of Thieves.
Yeah. But I felt like that movie had a lot of tonal shifts in it, from comedic to serious, and it reminded me a lot of this film. But at the end, like, this film is just, blah. Like,
when Men in Tights came out, not Men in Tights, golly, you could tell which movie I've seen more.
Yeah.
Prince of Thieves came out. I thought it was awesome, but now I've watched it. I'm like, this is not good.
No, it's not a good movie.
Like I said, I wonder if people saw Dragonheart at 96, like, oh my gosh, dragons are real. And is this post Jurassic Park? I have to check,
yeah. I think Jurassic Park was like, what, 92, 93?
Maybe?
Yeah. And when did Prince of Thieves come out? It had to have been before this. Because I feel like
93 for Jurassic Park. Golly, Jurassic Park was so much better than this.
Yeah.
Just in every way. Imagine Morgan Freeman and, Sean Connery voicing the dinosaurs. Think that would have been good.
Morgan Freeman and Sean Connery voicing dinosaurs. That would
different dinosaurs, and they have long conversation.
I'd listen to it for sure.
I'd probably check it out.
Yeah. They could read an audiobook. I don't know that
it'd be good. Yeah.
I bet you AI could recreate Sean Connery's voice.
Oh, for sure.
When did Prince of Thieves come out?
Let's see.
Because
here we are, real-time Googling.
Yep, that movie was more successful than this.
Yeah, I remember that being a hit.
Yeah, right.
91.
Right. And so I feel like the 90s where that like everything's trying to be, and even to a point Braveheart's trying to be, Prince of Thieves. And Braveheart was much more successful and critically acclaimed and all that. But they all had the same style, the same look. They all cast, American actors in heavily British films and
Braveheart 95.
Yeah. And so it just seems like this movie, Dragonheart, was trying to capture that same feeling, aura, whatever you want to call it, of this medieval time, and introduce a talking dragon. And that's how our film's going to be different. Talking dragon. And it's like,
Men in Tights 93.
Yeah, and our talking dragon is going to be voiced by the iconic Sean Connery.
That's really the thing that kept
I'll take
me from watching
famous
this movie
titties for 500, Trebek.
Trebek.
That's
Anal bomb cover.
That's famous titles. That's not what your mother said.
It's
whatever.
Things that go moo. No, what does he say? Oh, an animal that goes woof and he goes moo. Or no, the sound a dog makes. He goes moo. No, that's the sound a cow makes. What's the sound your mother made last night? Anyway, I butchered that. We'll edit that out.
I saw that guy. What's his? I forget the guy's name.
Daryl Hammond.
Daryl Hammond. That's right.
Hammond, not Daryl Hannah. That's from Roxanne. Lord help us all. This is the best episode.
I saw Daryl Hammond at a comedy club in Jacksonville a couple years ago, and he was funny as shit. And he's old now.
Yeah.
But like
Weird.
he is making a living today off of his Sean Connery
Sean
impression.
Connery. Yeah.
It's crazy. It just goes to show you how
nobody does Sean Connery impressions. They do impressions of Daryl Hannah doing Sean Connery. It's kind of like the George H. Bush impressions are really just Dana Carvey impressions. Wouldn't do that. Wouldn't be prudent,
Hey, speaking of Bush, did you watch the Cheney movie?
The who? Oh, no, I haven't watched it.
Oh, God, that's been like a month.
I want to, but I watched weird kung fu movies. I watched this one where he fights like demons and shit. It was all right.
Anyway, what else to say about this movie? It's your classic. Or we didn't mention that the dragon gives David Thewlis's character half of his heart. And so they're connected by.
So the ending of this movie is poopy. All right, it's big poopy. So I hated it. So like they share a heart, the bad guy and the dragon, and the way they have to win is to kill Draco.
Right.
Because
the last
he has
dragon.
the life force, and otherwise the other guy is immortal or some stupid bullshit. And I hated it. And so our lead, whatever his name is, Bowen, has to kill the dragon, and everybody's sad. But then the dragon goes and lives in the stars, and it's supposed to be this, oh, it's okay. But it's really shitty and dumb and hammy and crap.
Yeah,
I hated it.
It's not good. I also didn't like that. Like, just kill this dude. Just like chop his head off, bro. What?
It doesn't work that way.
Let me find
For some
out.
reason.
Let me find out. Let me find out that this man can live without his head.
Okay, that would be a good movie.
Right? I'm like, rather than like me killing the last dragon, the last motherfucking dragon on planet Earth.
That's the other thing is, like, at the time he wasn't the last dragon when he gave his heart away. That's the other thing that's weird, though. Why is he forgiving Bowen, who has committed genocide?
Yep, he has
killed. He is the reason
countless dragons.
Draco is the only dragon left, is because Bowen's gone around and killed them all. Now, they mention that there are other dragon hunters that go around and kill them, but Bowen is one of them.
Right.
and he's sworn to wiping them all out because he needs to get revenge, misguided revenge. And the big last dragon alive just is like, yeah, that's fine. We all make mistakes.
Let's be friends.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
I don't, this movie's all over the place, bro. It's so many different movies, like, wrapped up in one, that you almost have to segment one portion of the movie from the other, and then I don't know. And then there's this weird kind of connection, romantic vibes from Dina Meyer's character and Dennis Quaid, even though they don't do anything about it. I don't know, man. I did enjoy seeing, like, young Dennis Quaid, though.
Yeah,
because you see him everywhere else, and he's like old Dennis Quaid. You think better choice would have been Randy Quaid?
I think if you do that, you have to go full comedy, right? You can't toe the line anymore.
No. You ask Randy Quaid to give his best dramatic performance.
Give this your all,
and you get what you get.
You 96. Maybe you cast. No, 96 is too early to cast The Rock.
No, I mean,
he wasn't even.
You can cast Sean Connery. Listen, fucking give the dragon voice to whoever the fuck ever, and cast Sean Connery as
Gilbert
the knight.
Gottfried. Give the voice to Gilbert Gottfried, and have Fran Drescher play the knight, and then everyone's ears bleed while they watch the movie.
You probably could have cast Jason Isaacs as the knight here, and it'd be the same fucking movie.
Yeah, because he is given a real goofy performance. I don't know. I don't like the movie, but I don't hate it, and it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it wasn't good either.
Right. But like for the fact that it holds such a weird spot in my brain, like much like you, like. Or
I hold a weird spot in your brain?
You do as well. But
okay.
No, like nostalgic reasons, this holds a weird spot in my brain that I'm like, oh yeah, before watching this today, or not today, but this week, the spot that it had is like, I remember it being an entertaining film, and I watched it today and I was like, bro, this shit's not good.
I would still call it entertaining. You can be entertaining and not good.
But right, yes, I agree. I just didn't think the fight scenes were that great. The battle sequences weren't great. The dragon attacking the castle is probably the best sequence of shots, but that's probably easy to do when you have a fucking CG dragon. But
yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, do you recommend this one?
No. I don't understand why people like it as much as they do. People can like what they like. I don't know why it's as popular as it is. And maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just misguided, which is more probably the truth.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Anyways,
I don't.
Big surprise.
This is, and honestly, it's a disappointing watch for me because of what, like, I remember watching it as a kid and then watching it today. I'm like, ugh. But anyways, what are we watching next week?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, will we have 4 for 4 in dragon movies? Movies starring dragons. We've got dragons in every one of them, maybe.
Yep.
What are you going to blow it with? Nimona next week, a Netflix original, came out in 2023, and it stars Chloe Grace Moretz, and I'm Beck Bennett, RuPaul. Beck Bennett I know from his SNL fame, but RuPaul, those are the big names I know anyway. But I'm out of the loop on this modern crap. I only watch old shit.
What? That is
also, we should say next month.
Riz Ahmed is in it. He's the main character, one of the main characters.
That's great. I don't immediately know him. What was he in? What's he famous for? Let's
see. He's Oscar.
Sound of Metal, didn't see it. Rogue One, didn't see it. He was a Nightcrawler. I did see that. Check the back catalog. I do want to say next month is a month that's like one thing I believe we've talked about it before, doing a wrestling month, and we just never did it. We were never rushed to pop the rating as you would think and just do wrestling month. We waited for the right time. And next month, May, the final month of year, what is this, 3?
Yep.
Will be wrestling month. And I'm very excited, Mark.
I know you are. We just got to get through this last film.
Yeah. Which I'm sure it'll be fine. You liked it, I think. You've seen it before.
I have. I've seen it.
It should be fine.
And you're going to be in the draft house for this one, so it's
oh, it's about time. It's been a while.
It has been a while. So yeah, join us next week as we watch Nimona, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button when it pops up so you don't miss any future content right here on our podcast. That's if you're watching on YouTube. But if you want to find us on all your favorite social media platforms, we're at Movie Draft House. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, right here on YouTube. We're doing big things. Give us a like, follow, subscribe. And we want to plug the music again. I forgot to do that before I read the socials. Anyway, It doesn't matter. We want to give a shout out to the New York-based pop artist, Madeline, with her song, I'm Only Here for the Beat. Hit the show notes, get the links, give her a like, follow, subscribe. She's doing big things. We appreciate her. If you want to follow Jeff on Twitter and be like, hey, man, I have a bone to pick because Morgan Freeman's character in Prince of Thieves was not Muslim. You can find him.
I've apologized already.
At Movie Draft. Not Movie Draft. Podcast by Jeff.
And if you want to get in touch with Mark and list all the ways he's offended you over the last 3 years, you can do that. You can go to Twitter and find him at I Heard You Like.
That would require multiple tweets. Multiple tweets. But you could also check out my other podcast, called Chronologically, wherever you get podcasts. This season, we're looking through the films inspired by the works of Stephen King, and we're doing it in chronological order, so we're doing the 70s and 80s. That sounds terrible.
Mark will not listen to one episode because he doesn't like old movies. He doesn't like people talking about old movies, even though he's going to be on one of the episodes at some point. I can't remember which one we have you listed for.
That's true. Yeah. Any last words?
Yeah, this is actually a quote from this movie that I said was goofy. Listen to this. Dreams die hard, and you hold them in your hands long after they've turned to dust. How poignant.
Hey, no, so I'm glad you read that, and I'm sorry this is not the last words, but that's actually a pretty profound piece of dialogue.
Yeah, in this movie.
And when it was said in the movie, I made note of that. I was like, holy shit, that's a good quote. That's a good bit of dialogue. And it's weird. It's weird. This movie's weird. Fuck this movie. I don't care.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week as we watch Nimona.